Good morning. I hope everybody that listens is keeping well. Wanted to share some of my crazy thoughts. I am not a doctor or a specialist in anything. I'm not giving advice or convince you or try to convince you of anything. This is some stuff that's happening, all right, in my life. So, I've had relatively good teeth throughout my life. Never had any tooth pain until now. At the age of 42, I had this horrible pain in my tooth a couple of days ago. I was surprised. This was the first time, and I wasn't prepared. I had no painkillers around. So, this was around midnight. I had to put up with it until morning, which I didn't sleep throughout the night. And then in the morning, I got some painkillers and went to the dentist in the afternoon. So, I never experienced pain in my teeth, although I went to the doctor, many times to fix cavities. But um, it was a side effect of surgery. I had multiple surgeries some decade ago, and I started noticing my teeth, going crazy. So the doctor, yeah, fixed me like 10 times, and it filled up the cavity with that product. One of the tooth was very damaged, and it had to be treated a couple of times. And the last time it was treated, they had to replace some parts of it with ceramics. You know, a decade forward. And teeth change with time, and the one with ceramic didn't change. It stayed exactly as it was, taller than the others. Because it was taller than the others, it was receiving more pressure. It was doing most of the job. It was because it was higher than everybody else. In 10 years ago, it was actually the opposite. Yeah, it was shorter than other teeth, but you know your mouth changes. Yeah, your teeth changes. They get you know used. They get smaller, I would say. And the one with ceramic didn't change, so it was being overused, and it cracked one day, started aching. I went to the doctor. They check it up and they say, yeah, there's no cavities, there's no nothing, but the tooth is really ready to explode because it's doing extra work. Now it's inflamed. So tons of inflammation and pain. I said, what can we do then? We can fix you with some meds, and eventually we're going to have to do a root canal. And when they said root canal, it kind of activated my senses, my spider senses, because that's a red flag for me. I knew there was something, about root canals, but in the moment, I just couldn't remember all the details. So I told the doctor, yeah, we're not going to do a root canal. I rather take the tooth out and or do some meds first to see what happens, and then we'll see what we can do next. Because root canal, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a specialist. Basically, is gonna unalive your tooth. Yeah, your tooth is gonna be severed from the body, literally. The bloodstring is gonna be cut. So the tooth is not going to receive any nutrients or minerals, anything. It's going to become this dead thing in your mouth. Pretty much, it's a dead thing. And with time, because it doesn't receive any sustenance, it will become extremely fragile and it will crack. It's almost like a stump, a tree stump. When you cut the tree and you leave the stump behind, eventually, animals, all sorts of creatures are going to settle in. Yeah, until it becomes extremely fragile and it collapses. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to the tooth. It's going to attract lots of bacteria. It's going to become a nice, paradise for all sorts of bacteria, and it can become infectious. Eventually, the tooth will collapse. Later, I asked people in my family that did root canals in the past, and they said, honestly, it didn't last long after the root canal. I mean, I had to take it away because the tooth cracked. So my spider senses was correct, and the doctor was trying to sell me this beautiful thing called root canal. You need at least 3 appointments, and I could see, immediately the model, the economic model being, 1, 2, 3, 4 appointments and whatnot. This is going to be a long, treatment, and the result is not that beneficial. So I rather pull it out, you know, and replace it with a gold, tooth, with a golden tooth. Just kidding. I rather, replace it with something else or not. I know people who have, replacement teeth and they don't use it, especially, the teeth behind. They're not visible, when you're talking or smiling. If it's in front, people, use replacement teeth, but if it's in the back, they don't care. Will it bring a big change, to the way you eat? Some change, but no, not a big change. Anyway, there's always the possibility of screwing a new tooth in place, but I don't like that. It's expensive, and I don't like, the idea of having this ceramic uh, tooth that is screwed into the skull, and then I don't like the idea. I rather have a fake tooth that I can, you know, remove whenever I want or whatever. We'll see. So yeah, right now I'm on my third day of meds, painkillers, and antibiotics to see if the inflammation goes away, and I will decide tomorrow. If it doesn't go away, I'm gonna have to pull it. All right, so that's that. This is just some food for thought. Have a nice day.